I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, he's always in his car, but he never wears a seatbelt. Well, that's because I'm stationary. I'm not actually recording these things while I'm driving. But you knew that. So why did I explain that? I don't know. I'm just being silly. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how it's impossible for there to be an actual infinite collection of discrete things in reality. And and that showed that the universe had a beginning, because if the universe did not have a beginning, then it's possible to create an actually infinite collection of discrete objects in reality. So, and since that's not possible, then it's not possible for the past to be infinite. Okay, so let's suppose I'm wrong about that. Let's suppose it is possible for there to be an actually infinite collection of things in reality. Even if that were true, there would be an additional problem. And the problem is how the present came to be about, or how the past was formed, or the fact that the past was formed. It was formed by successive addition. And the problem there is you cannot form an infinite set by successive addition, because if you add any finite number to any other finite number, you're still going to get a finite number. So there's no finite number such that adding one more will get you to infinity. So so it's obvious that the future can never be infinite, because the future happens, 1 hour after another hour and stuff like that. Well, if the past is infinite, then you can divide it up into equal intervals of time. So like, say, hours or days or years or whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, and so instead of trying to count up to infinity, you would be counting down from infinity. Well, the problems of counting up to infinity apply equally to counting down from infinity. You can't subtract anything from infinity. You can't subtract a finite number from infinity and end up with a finite number. So there's no way to go from, an infinitely distant time to the present. The present could never have gotten here if it had to go through an actually infinite series of equal intervals of time. Now, of course, people say you can divide up time by fractions, a half, a quarter, an eighth, a 16th, and all that kind of stuff. But when you do that, I mean, sure, you can potentially infinitely divide it forever, but you're still going a finite distance. If the past is infinite, then you can divide it up into equal intervals of time, and there's no beginning. It's the fact that there's no beginning that makes it impossible to get here. Trying to get here from a beginningless past is kind of like trying to jump out of a bottomless hole. There's nothing to push yourself up against. And so just the very idea of forming an actual infinite is problematic in itself, because the entire past was formed. Everything that happened in the past, or every event in the past, actually happened. Even the infinitely far away ones, they actually happened, and they came before the present moment. And so the entire past was formed. So if it's impossible to form an actual infinite by successive addition, and if the past was formed by successive addition, then it's impossible for the past to be infinite. And so let me see if there's any other way that I can explain this. Got people walking by, so I gotta let them walk by before I start talking, because you know how I get self-conscious about that kind of thing. So think about this. I mean, if every event in the past actually happened and it reached here, then that means that every event would have to be a finite distance away. So think about that. If every event in the past, or every moment in the past, had to be a finite distance, and I use distance, but what I really mean is time. A finite time ago, every moment in the past happened a finite time ago, and yet the whole collection is infinite. So that's a problem. I think I've said enough about that. I guess the biggest thing there is just the whole idea of counting down from infinity. Having an infinitely far away moment and still reaching us. that's not possible, because you'd have to cross an actual infinite to do that. And that's just not possible. I think I'm starting to repeat myself, so I'll go ahead and end this video. Short one today, but there you have it. I got one more philosophical argument after this. I thought of something that I wanted to add. I am kind of repeating myself here, but I just kind of figure the more different ways that I say the same thing, the more believable it will be. So, okay. So you know how like you cannot start from the present and head towards the future and reach infinity, because you'll always be adding one member after another. So the same thing is true if you tried to go backward in time. If you went backward in time and you had to go 1 hour after another, you obviously could never reach infinity. So think about that. If you can never reach infinity by going backward in time, then how could infinity ever reach you just by going in the opposite direction? It doesn't matter which direction you go. If you can't get there going in one direction, you can't get there going in the other direction. So if you cannot reach infinity by just going there one moment after another, one step after another, then infinity cannot reach you either. And so it's impossible for the past to be infinite. There you have it.